Hello, everybody. Robert Villar here. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to our introduction to cloud-based accounting. This is going to be an overview using QuickBooks Online, which is a product produced by Intuit. Some housekeeping rules. I'll start by telling you that ProfessorVillar.com is an independent educational support service. We are not affiliated with any educational institution, and our services are not covered by any of the traditional school privacy acts. In addition to that, students enrolled in an academic course, including with me this semester, should continue to communicate with your professor directly through your college's online learning platform. Continuing with the educational purpose only, I will remind everybody that the content provided here in this presentation by ProfessorVillar.com is only for educational purposes, and it does not create any legal agreement. It's not legal or tax advice, financial or accounting services. You should always rely upon sound financial decision making from your own professional services provider. And we also do not create any type of professional relationship or contract with you. Okay. So I'm Professor Villar, RTH Worldwide LLC, YourAccountantsUSA.com, TusContadoresUSA.com. All will provide educational materials. And again, none of these create any contractual relationship between you and or the professors. So learning outcomes for today, upon completion of this very short lecture, we'll be able to define cloud-based accounting and distinguish it from traditional desktop accounting software. We'll be able to identify the different QuickBooks subscription tiers, as well as identifying the key security measures that are implemented in cloud-based accounting systems to make sure that our data is more secure. So let's go ahead and talk about traditional versus cloud-based systems. And so I think the biggest difference for us to understand is starting with that in the traditional desktop setup, your file is stored locally on a computer. That computer is in your home, in your office, in your business, wherever. All that information stored on that computer obviously creates a security risk. In addition to that, you have safety risks in case the computer fails, you have a bad hard drive. Plus, because it's stored locally, you have very limited access to remote into your PC. And so it will also require that you periodically do manual backups. As opposed to a cloud-based solution where we talk about software which we access via the internet. You don't need any particular browser so long as you have a compatible browser, and most browsers will be compatible, although Intuit will suggest that Google Cloud is their preferred browser. Uh, and any browser should get you there. Not just that, it doesn't matter whether you're on a PC or on a Mac or on a Chromebook. You should be able to still gain access to it because the application is stored directly on the internet, not in a computer program that's running on your actual computer. So the data is stored on secured servers. Obviously, they're not your servers, but the software providers take additional security standards. And so you'll see that as we start exploring in further chapters, Intuit and QuickBooks Online will have multi-factor authentication, the ability to text you or get some kind of additional password information from you. Biggest advantage is this information is going to be accessible from anywhere. So you can be on vacation in a cruise ship in the middle of the Mediterranean, still have access to your file. Doesn't matter where you are, so long as you have access to the internet, you'll be able to have access to your file. Not just that, it'll automatically back up. And if you have multiple individuals working on this file, they can be working on this file simultaneously. Where if you're on a desktop version, potentially you are limited to one user at a time. So, what are some of the benefits of cloud-based computing? Well, obviously, this ability to work from anywhere, so long as you have an internet connection, the ability to collaborate with others in real time, automatic updates. Your software's always going to be up to date. Now, I will warn you here that QuickBooks and Intuit, which publishes QuickBooks, does regularly do software updates, and sometimes those software updates are rolled out at different periods to different people. And so I have had the situation where one user's user interface experience is different than that of, let's say, myself as the instructor of your course. Data security, professional grade security measures. Um, we'll call this cost effective, lower upfront cost. And so I'm not necessarily sure that it's the least expensive option. However, it's predictable where you can determine how much you're going to have to be paying for your software subscription for the foreseeable future. And integration. So basically, by being online, it allows for easy integrations. Easiest one being banking. And so the QuickBooks banking integration, far by far one of the best features that we're going to encounter in our cloud computing. Some limitations, and so you have to consider some of these things. And so basically, you will be dependent on an internet connection. I don't know about you, but I don't remember the last time that I was without internet. Subscription cost, there will be an ongoing monthly or annual fee for the subscription. This one, some feature limitations. This issue, I would tell you, used to be a bigger concern. It is becoming less and less of a concern. So as more people transition from the traditional desktop onto the cloud-based solution, more of those cloud-based features are becoming available. So more and more businesses are able to take advantage of the cloud-based solutions. Data control. So while you don't necessarily have direct control over how and where that data is stored, it is provided for you by Intuit, and it's generally safe. However, you don't have control over it. And so, could somebody eventually gain access to it? Yes. Technically, they can do it from your PC at home without you possibly even knowing about it. So I'm not as concerned there. And then migration changes. So basically, moving from desktop to a cloud-based solution can be complex. Depending on how much customization you've done to your existing file. So all in all, some things to consider. None of these are insurmountable challenges. Now, what are we looking at as far as subscription? And so I will tell you today is September 23rd, and I got these rates off of September 23rd, 2025, and I just got these rates off of QuickBooks webpage. And so they have the simple start, which is about $38 a month. The plus subscription is about $115 a month, and the advanced subscription about $275 a month. Now, each one of these has different perks, advantages, and disadvantages. All of them will give you the very basic, which is banking integration to your directly from your bank account into QuickBooks, basic checking, and things like that. However, there are more advanced skills such as inventory tracking and estimates and things like that, partial payments. So you may need to increase your subscription depending on what you need QuickBooks for. And so they do allow for you to easily go up or down depending on your specific business needs. So let's talk about security and cloud-based accounting. So the biggest concern when moving to the cloud for some people is security. And so basically reputable providers like Intuit invest very heavily on security measures that exceed by far what most small business measures are. Okay. And so I'll tell you, even my measures at home are not as secure as what I am getting from Intuit. Data encryption. So basically encrypting the information while it's leaving from your internet browser into their server is provided via secure HTTPS protocols. Multi-factor authentication also adds additional protection, beyond the simple password. And then regular third-party security audits. Basically, Intuit and others will do random audits and security audits to ensure that the software and their servers are safe, access controlled, and limited. In order to limit the risk to you. Is anything 100% safe? No, it is not. So long as you understand that these mitigating measures have been taken, basically you can help people make the decision on whether going to the cloud is for them or not. So we talked about data encryption, talked about multi-factor authentication, talked about audit verification by third parties, backup systems that happen automatically, and permission control. So in QuickBooks, you'll be able to provide different access levels to different individuals, so they'll have access depending on what it is that they need to do. So if you need to provide somebody access to only a certain part of your QuickBooks file, you would be able to do so. Where on the desktop, you're going to be a little bit more limited on how much access that person is going to have. So let's talk about what types of business benefits the most from cloud-based computing. Well, it really, I would say it's those people who have remote operations, remote workers, remote work location. Those absolutely are going to benefit a lot from this QuickBooks. However, just about everybody will be able to take advantage of some of the benefits. One of the other things that QuickBooks Online has that's very beneficial is they have a mobile application that will allow you as a business, whether it's to accept a payment, record a payment, create an invoice in a very easy mobile manner. So who would you address the client securities concerns, or how would you address the client's security concerns? Well, we've talked about the third-party audits, the encrypted data, the cloud-based backup, that kind of information. And then the last question for discussion is what kind of factors should influence your subscription tier selection? Well, and that would be based on the needs that you need. And so you would basically go into the least costly tier for the benefits that you need. And then even if you are going to go into a higher tier, because there are some perks there, you should really analyze whether your business practices really justify the $275 a month. Or if you can live without some of that functionality and really get by at the $115 a month plan, let's say. This does become expensive. I have not bought a QuickBooks desktop subscription in a very long time, but I will tell you, the annualized cost was not 12 times the $275 a month. And so you definitely have to consider the cost implications of a desktop solution versus the online solution. Now, QuickBooks is not the only solution that is out there. There are other solutions. However, I will tell you, it is the predominant small business accounting software. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this lecture. There will be more, so keep an eye out for our mini lectures as they go on. Please like, subscribe, and follow the next video. I will see you soon.